Asuom. Good morning, sir. You're welcome to the show.
Good morning.
How have you been?
I'm all right. I'm all right. By God's grace, I'm fine.
You've been making waves. Your name keeps going around a lot. What pushed you to toe that tangent before and after the elections?
Well, first and foremost, I have to send my greetings to the people of Ghana, my greetings to the President of Ghana, and even the former President of Ghana. To the people of Asuom, I greet you all. It's just telling it as it is, telling the truth. I have no other way of saying any other thing than to tell it as it is. Somehow, what is meant to be a joke, what is meant to be taken on a light side, is also not being taken as such. I believe slowly Ghanaians are losing our sense of humor. And so I think we should go back to it. If anybody will talk about a Ghanaian, it's how friendly we are and how tolerant we are. But slowly, and I believe the election also played a part in it, and the hardship in the country is also to blame for it. And partisanship is taking such a shape that whatever you say is misconstrued to mean something else. Let's take a chill pill as a country. Let's go back and make fun of ourselves, even if that's necessary. Politics should not be war.
You say let's make fun of ourselves as a country, right? But you have on a number of occasions gone at the former president, Akufo-Addo. You have said Ghana does not deserve another president than Akufo-Addo. One would ask, did Nana Addo ever wrong you?
Did I ever wrong Nana Addo?
But you said Ghanaians don't deserve a president like
that. Did Ghanaians wrong Nana Addo? I would rather we don't talk too much about the former president. I hold his office with all the respect, in high esteem. Sometimes you would see things and where he is as a president, and then of course an outgoing president, people will talk about him. People did talk about President Kufuor. People did talk about President Rawlings. People spoke the worst about President Mahama just before he left office 2016. And so if we talk about President Akufo-Addo, there's nothing wrong with it. It is the policies that we are most concerned about, those that did not benefit this country, because so many were the sugar-coated words before he became president. And so we have to hold him to account for some of them. So many were the promises that were never fulfilled. And it is just not right for us to keep quiet about it and assume that everything is all right.
Were the people or your subjects, were they shortchanged in the development agenda?
Yes, we were. Very much so. When we talk about roads, for instance, the Minister for Roads at Ofori, Amakwata, his constituency is just near ours. In other words, we are neighbors. And so when you realize that he has been able to develop his constituency, so much so that even roads leading to farms are asphalted, and then ours is just left like that, you see, when but that is not what they did. Look at Asuom to Kede, and it will tell you what I am talking about. Look at Subi to Abrim, and it will tell you what I'm talking about. You talk about our hospitals, and he will never send any of his children or his relatives to Asuom Clinic, for instance. So if we have not seen anything, we have to talk about it. There was a promise of 1 million dollars per constituency every year. And we were all happy. Even when NDC lost, we thought, oh, okay, maybe these people are going to make the country better. So let's be happy for them and be prayerful for them. And then what did we see at the end of the 8 years? Big, big disappointment.
So you are particularly disappointed in the Addo administration because you didn't get roads in your constituency, clinic or health facilities were not provided for. Well, these are major challenges for you in your area.
Well, that's a few. But in Ghana as a whole, I mean, there's no need talking about it that much because the Ghanaian people, through the 7th December vote, voiced it out quite loudly. If you want my personal explanation of how it went that way, I'll tell you, go and count the votes. It has never been done in this country, and it speaks and explains it loudest than what I can.
One of the concerns you also have about this country is the 1992 Constitution. There are calls for constitutional review. What is wrong with the Constitution that we currently have?
First and foremost, I think I'm not the only person that wants the Constitution to be reviewed. President Akufo wanted it reviewed. President Arthur Mills actually started the process of getting a committee together to do that. President Akufo-Addo, on the 28th of February 2022, during the 30th anniversary of the Constitution, also called for an amendment. He saw it necessary for the Constitution to be amended so it could take care of the contemporary and future affairs of the country. At that time, he was scared that there might be a coup d'etat, and so thought that should also be in the Constitution. Right. Everybody wants the Constitution to be changed. The powers that have been placed on the executive is just too much. I do not see any other country in this world of ours where so much power is placed on the shoulders of the president. It is not surprising that it grew up upon him and then maybe made him act the way he did sometimes. But if you have the only right to appoint the IGP, to appoint the director of Bank of Ghana, to appoint the Minister of Justice and Attorney General, to you name it. Listen, we all got wind that there had been some printing of currency, of cedis, Ghanaian cedis, and it had not been approved by Parliament. How did that happen? Now, the president can just simply call the Bank of Ghana director, whom he appointed anyway, and tell him, all right, I need this amount of money, just make it available for me. You, as a citizen, cannot do anything. If you say, oh, I will take him to court, the apex court itself is, you know...
He's the appointing authority. Appointed
by him. So who is going to listen to you? Or you could say, for instance, all right, I'll just make a criminal case out of it. The IGP is appointed by him. If there is nothing anybody can do, if we are not lucky and we get another president who might even be worse than Akufo-Addo, Ghana is doomed. Nobody knows exactly how much was printed. Nobody knows to whom that money was printed. And there's a lot. Talking about constitutional review, one of the things that we Ghanaians should start discussing is the issue of the military intervention in our body politics. We've had about 9 coups d'etat so far. We have experienced it. It hasn't been the best, and we have chosen the way of democracy. Now, if you go through the Constitution, the only mention of penalties regarding coup d'etats is when you have failed in your attempt to overthrow a government. That is where the highest penalty, which is maybe death by hanging, high treason, is spoken about. But if you are lucky and you get through and you become a head of state, you are a hero. We should start looking at that.
Right.
We should have it emboldened so deep in the Constitution that nobody will find it imaginable to come through the barrel of a gun and assume office as president. It needs to be done. You cannot go to America or Australia or Canada or UK or... They have the best of people, the Marines. They have all the ammunitions and weaponry. But it will be unheard of for us to wake up and hear that, oh, the American government has been overthrown. This is democracy. We have chosen democracy. Good or bad, we have given it time limit. If we could wait for a good 8 years under President Akufo-Addo and not have a military takeover, we should say no to military takeovers for the rest of Ghana's life.
Sure.
It is very necessary that we start discussing that.
What other provisions do you think needs change then?
Let me go back again to this same military thing.
Okay.
First and foremost, I have nothing against the military. I respect them. We love them. We admire them. We are grateful that even at the peril of their lives, they serve our motherland. We know that there are a lot of them who are professional. As a matter of fact, about 99.9% will never dream about overthrowing a government.
Right.
But of course, there's the odd 0.1% who think they are adventurous enough. And it's not just soldiers. There are some of them who are lawyers and some of them who are doctors and farmers and even Boy Scouts, and even armed robbers can pick up arms and think they can overthrow the government. That is where we need to have it enshrined in the new constitution, in a reviewed constitution that says that Ghana has chosen democracy, and so Ghana will not allow any overthrow of the constitution.
Right.
We have had the first, second, third. We are in the fourth constitution. There should be no other constitution after the fourth Republican Constitution. We can have amendments. We can have subtractions and additions. But there should be no room for us to have somebody come with guns and bombs and whatever and overthrow a government. I am saying this because the period between 7th December after the election and then 7th January was a period of great anxiety for everybody.
Right.
There were so many journalists who are of great repute who went scaremongering, if you call it, that, oh, the soldiers were being sponsored to overthrow the government. There were prophets and men of God who were also all over the place saying same thing. We should start talking about it. Ghana should choose democracy. There should be no other constitution apart from what we have.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, by way of suggestion, I think if you are a military officer or a policeman or a Navy officer, and you think you have what it takes, or you think you have new ideas that can transform this country, the best you can do is to resign, form a political party, contest elections. And if people think, oh, you can do the job better, they will vote for you.
Right.
If you want to be in parliament, it's the same thing. You resign, contest, win, and then you'll be there to help government. We should model our democracy on the same democracy of the Western Europe, the very developed ones, and then, of course, America's, the Australia's and Canada's, so that when we have that stable democracy, Ghana will always attract foreign investment and all that. Look at how we suffered because of Ukraine and Russian war. How do you think we will suffer if, for instance, the whole of the other nations decide to isolate us, condemn us, and then punish us? I mean, Ghana is just going to go down the drain. So we have to look at it like we have never done before.
Holistically.
Apart from that, of course, there is the issue of chieftaincy, which I believe should also be taken care of in the Constitution. For now, the only thing a chief can do is to dress up neatly, go and sit at the front seats so that when the politicians come, they are greeted. And then when they are going away, you are probably maybe giving a takeaway or giving a thank you, and then you go your way. That is not what we want. That is why sometimes people will fault me for being a traditional leader, for being a chief, and still being involved in politics. But I do not listen to them that much, because I believe even a chief can do politics. It has been tried in the Supreme Court, in the case of GHOne versus the Attorney General, and then the National House of Chiefs. And it's been established that, yes, a chief has also the guarantees of Chapter 5, which guarantees our freedom, freedom of expression, freedom of association, and all that. And so, yes, we can also take part in politics.
Because when you look at local governance, you are the bedrock.
Yes, yes. It should start from the roots. It should start from the assemblies, go to the regionals, come to the nationals. There should be a way for all of us, all chiefs. You see, a politician can be in power for maybe 4, 8, maximum is 8 years for the president, for instance. An MP can go more. But do you think somebody whose forefathers have toiled, shed blood to maintain their town or village, and who wants to see that town or village develop, will have less an ambition to develop it than a politician who is just there for 4 years? We should begin to see chiefs as instruments of development, because the lands belong to us and we are responsible for how it goes.
Right. So what specifically do you want chiefs? What mandate do you want the Constitution to spell out for chiefs? Well,
I heard during the campaigns that Dr. Baumia spoke about it a little bit. President John Mahama has spoken about it a little bit. I don't want to jump the gun. Already I'm aware that there's been a meeting or two. And so things are being put in place. I'm hopeful that the best will be done for all of us so that Mother Ghana will be better off.
Let's talk about galamsey and the fight against it. President Akufo-Addo put his presidency on the line. Even at that, the fight against galamsey is nothing to write home about. How should this current administration tackle galamsey? Because you talk about being the custodial owners of the lands, and these lands are being destroyed.
First and foremost, President Akufo-Addo and his government were never really serious about ending galamsey. I have personal experience. I did my best, and I suffered a lot because of that.
How so?
I realized that people were just simply eager to get money. I'm talking of the miners.
Okay.
Whether they have documents or not, that was not their problem. And a few times they would destroy the lands, destroy the crops, and when there's no more gold to be mined, they just abandon it and leave. I took it upon myself to at least find a solution to that. And so me, together with the ASAFO, would go around making sure that if even you're mining, you do reclamation, which is necessary. True. The laws spell it out very
explicitly.
Yes, that you should not just reclaim, but even revegetate, so that even as you throw our cocoa and oil palm plantations and food crops away because you want the land to mine on. When you have finished, you go back, reclaim, and then replant those things there. I made petitions to several agencies. I wrote a petition for assistance to the regional commander of Eastern Region, the Southern Command. I think Commander Boadi Bosman and his people. I didn't have any help from them. I petitioned the Minerals Commission Inspectorate at Akufo-Addo. Nothing came from them. I petitioned the Operations Unit. I even went as far as the Southern Command of the Ghana Armed Forces. Yes, some soldiers volunteered to come help us. They were able to arrest some Chinese people and their Ghanaian counterparts. But as usual, the Chinese people were rather set free, and the soldiers who had come to help, together with myself, were labeled as armed robbers and sent to court. The case is at Akufo-Addo court as we speak. And what charge did they put upon us? They said they went to rob their Nokia phones and some coins. They are still doing their mining as we speak. It was obvious that instructions had come from above never to let any of those people venture into stopping galamsey, because they had realized that when they did a bit in 2020, they lost most of their votes, and so they were not going to lose any more votes. We are thankful that there's a new president. He hasn't started at all yet, but I'm very sure that practical steps will be taken. One of those practical steps I would suggest most humbly is for us to also look at it with a human face. Mining is not bad. I'm not against mining. Mining has overtaken cocoa with regards to our GDP. I think it comes second to oil. And so, yes, we do get a lot of revenue from mining, so stopping it will be to our detriment.
Right.
But if we should do it well, responsible mining, then that is what the whole thing should be about. And then also, the youth should be taken care of. In the past, it was made to look as if it is them against us. Those doing galamsey are the criminals, and there were even some people who suggested that they be shot on sight. We shouldn't do that. They are people. A lot of them are not doing it because of the huge money they get from it, but they are just doing it so as to get some money for food. They say the devil finds work for idle hands, and then also a hungry man is an angry man. So these youth who do not have any work, any jobs to do, will not sit at home and die of hunger.
What then should be the approach?
That is where I haven't landed yet. I am happy that the President and NDC has come out with this National Apprenticeship Program. I hope it takes off as soon as necessary. We should make sure that most of the youth, and then most of them who do galamsey are the, excuse my language, the slightly or uneducated ones. We should make sure we take care of them. Now that we are going to roll out an apprenticeship program, which will make sure that some of them can learn trades, carpentry, masonry, seamstresses, and all the rest, yes, it will help. The President has also said that when they finish the training, they will be given assistance to start up their own businesses, capital, tools, equipments, and all that. I am praying it takes off. I am also praying that it just doesn't end there. They should be given some allowances, some money, so that if the training will take about a year or two, they are not going to the workshops hungry, they must have some money to at least keep body and soul together whilst they do the training. This government is going to invest in the youth, and I am going to be a part of it in one way or the other.
Do you then embrace the formation of the Youth Development Ministry?
Very much so. Very much so. And it's not just the name of the ministry that matter to me. I mean, it is the work that they will do. The work that they will do is what will mean a success for us or otherwise. As I was talking about the galamsey and the youth and all that, yes, if they are paid at the end of the month, let's say maybe some 800 or 500 or 1,000 cedis, it does not necessarily need to be free. It could be like people going to universities and applying for, you know, allowances and loans and all that, so that when they finish the training, they can pay as they earn to the government. If the government is able to do this, more than half of the people who are into galamsey now will quickly come back and learn a trade and then better the development of Ghana. It's necessary we look at it that way. And then also, one of the things that I will suggest humbly is that we need workshops for them. Sometimes it becomes difficult for them to have lands for the workshops to be built upon. And then it delays the whole process. Thank God we have GHS, which has lands. I remember the good old former president, GHOne Rawlings, introduced GHS so that we could have practical knowledge. Unfortunately, most of them did not have workshops. So this will be a good attempt to build workshops at GHS grounds so that the people can go there and learn whatever trade it is that will suit them. It will also be good to add that those who haven't had the advantage of being schooled, education, should also be looked at. I think evening classes for some of them or for all of them or those who want to take part can help. It doesn't need a lot of money. We already have schools. We already have classes. When the schools have closed, maybe between the hours of 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock, some teachers can be brought in, maybe 3 or 4, who will now be responsible for teaching the adults how to read and write. We should invest with all seriousness in the people of this country. We have every resources that the country can boast of. No country maybe has more. I do not know of any single country that has more resources than we have. But we are still suffering. Let's look at it by way of investing in people. If this country...
And you think that will tackle the high unemployment we have?
Very much so. Very much so. Look, free SHS is good. People are going through formal education. So much that now we don't have the masons, the plumbers, and the carpenters in the numbers that we formerly did have. So yes, it will create a lot of them. A lot of them. Jobs is what will solve the problems of this land. If this country, if this president does not do anything at all, but is able to provide jobs for the people of Ghana, and then also recover the loot that has been taken away, we will be more than happy with him. We will be very, very happy. Of course, the infrastructure and all that also comes in.
Now that you talk about recover all the loot, so let's talk about the corruption fight. The NPP says the setting up of oral is illegal. What's your take on it?
Well, for now, it is illegal. For now, if NPP decides that they don't want to respond to calls or they will boycott whenever they are called, they have a right to. What are we doing? Listen, in the 1800s, before Ghana, Gold Coast had a Gold Coast Police Service. And it was made up of 6 European officers and 400 Nigerian indigents. They were actually brought in from northern Nigeria. It's in their history. If you talk to the police, they will tell you this. That is how come we were able to have the police force. Then after independence in 1970, Parliament enacted a law that set up the Ghana Police Service.
Right.
It was all right. They were fighting all the criminal cases. Then in 1993, there was the need for the Serious Fraud Office. People were asking the question, why? Why are you going to form another office just for fraud? I mean, whether serious or not, the police can handle it. But yes, we went ahead and we had the Serious Fraud Office. It didn't take long. It became GHOne, as we have it today.
Yeah.
Also an enactment of Parliament, I think Act 804 or so. And so they were given the legal backing to do that. Even when President Akufo-Addo came, 2017, he also decided to form the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Yeah.
People thought, why? Why do we need that? If you're talking about corruption, can the rest of them not do it? Same argument that people made for GHOne and the rest of them. But he went ahead, albeit a charade, and the one that chaired it said that it was a master serpent's kind of something. But yes, they went ahead with it. Now, oral has come. Some of us stood on so many platforms. Some of us said that December 7th, 2024 was going to be a judgment day against all those corruptions. The corrupt practices was to cease, and then the people who had looted were to return and then face whatever punishments there was. We have been able to acquire about 700 petitions. Mine has not even gone yet. I'm also preparing my petition.
Oh, you have evidence of loot?
Oh, yes. And then I hear that next week they are wrapping up and then handing over to the president. I am begging the president. I am begging the powers that be. Please, go to Parliament. We have 2/3 majority, for goodness sake. Enact the laws that should back oral so that oral can have all the capacity, the legal right to prosecute, the legal right to go to court, investigate, and subject all these people to what Ghanaians want. We actually voted for President Mahama and for NDC because of oral. It was one of the #1 reasons why we voted for NDC. And so for it to just listen to what the other party is saying and then to just go and give it over to OSP, for me, is a no, no, no. And anyway, if we are going to leave it with the OSP, which was formed by President Akufo-Addo, staffed by President Akufo-Addo, and we expect these same people to punish the over 700 people or so, how do you think it will work? They will just clear them, as is usual. So we must make it an institution. Oral must have an address. It must have phone numbers. It must have staff. It must be institutionalized. It must be supported. People must be paid. Oral must come to stay, not just for 2025 up to 2028, but beyond, so that any corruption that has anything to do with government appointees and then even presidents and vice presidents can be investigated.
But what is wrong with the already existing state agencies?
I just told you, if you are giving these cases to OSP, for instance, they will be cleared. If you are going to give it to the police, I'm not downplaying the ability of the police, but we have been in this country where cocaine has somehow miraculously turned into kunkunte powder. We know the bureaucracy that is within the police service. The police were there. Why was the need for Serious Fraud Office to be established? Why was the need for GHOne to be established? So yes, there is a need for oral to also come in. It doesn't spoil anything.
Do I sense that you do not trust the already existing institutions, the police, GHOne, OSP, for instance?
Do I trust them? I trust them a bit. But they have been in this country And within 2 weeks, another group of people have come and have received 700 complaints. What were you doing?
Right.
So that's it.
Okay. Okay.
We need all seriousness to be attached to oral. It must be an institution resourced enough to be able to take care of whatever it is. President Mahama was subject to investigation by OSP. I believe you remember that.
Yes.
During the Airbus thing. So why not? Why can't oral do the same thing? It's not witch hunting. If you don't have any problems under your carpet, you're a free man. But if you have chopped the money, you must make sure we get the money and face the penalties thereof. Ghana needs that. You see, democracy is becoming just about money, and those who have money win it. People are willing to sell their properties just so that they can be an MP, because they know when I become an MP, I can get 1,000 times what I lost. How are you going to get the money if not through dubious means? So if we have an institution that is going to look into it and critically too, of course, it's welcome.
You talk about amending the constitution to accommodate chiefs in executive governance. If it is amended, would you accept an appointment by President Mahama?
I am ready to serve in whatever capacity, with an appointment or without an appointment. And I believe every Ghanaian too. We should sound more patriotic than we have been. This is our holy land. However we make it depends upon us, whether you are serving or not. Look, from 120 plus ministers, now the president in his wisdom is reducing it to about 60. So many people who were expectant of positions will not get positions. That doesn't mean we can't serve. We must all be ready to serve in whatever capacity we can, if even voluntarily.
Thank you very much for coming. We do appreciate your time with us.
Thank you very, very much.